Sometimes they don't remind of death. What's sin?
Welcome to Creating Your Future. My name is Stephen Daniel. I have two special guests today, Joel and my brother, Sonny. Thank you guys for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Sonny. Appreciate y'all. Today we have a special testimony. I think this is something that's going to blow your mind. Y'all just saw the video. That was before BC, and that was Joel's life. And it's hard for us to relate to this. Sonny and I, we grew up as missionary kids in Mexico, and we were kind of in a sheltered life. And lately here in Dallas, I've had a lot of youth working with me. And one of the kids of the day that had been in a gang told me, he said, my goal in life was to live to be 20 years old. And I thought, that is amazing for somebody to even think that. It's something that doesn't even fit in my head. And I want Joel just to share, what is this type of reasoning? You told me, you said 25, I believe. You said, I want to just get to 20 or 25, your goal was.
Well, on the video, I believe I said my goal was to make it to 30.
30.
Because a lot of my friends never made it to 30. And so that's just, the life that I grew up as a young man, like you just watch your friends go one by one by one. So
tell us some of your testimony. You had told Sonny had talked to me about it. You'd told us about how your mom and you and the drugs and the guns and the gangs and going.
Yeah, I guess you could say I didn't live like, well, kind of in America. I guess you could say I lived the average life of a divorced home. That seems to be the average nowadays. But a single mother, and my mother, she loved her beer and she loved her drugs. And just to let me give you a little example of how crazy my mother was. I remember one time my brother and I were sitting at a kitchen table and we're eating cereal. We're young, and my mother comes in and lays down shotgun and pistols on the table and says, "Come on, guys, we're robbing a store. I'm driving. You guys are going in."
Oh my goodness!
And that's so. I mean, that gives you an example of how life was, So, and basically, my whole life was just, trying to make the next day, trying to get food and trying to get, doing what you have to do to survive. You know. So, and then basically, when I was about 13, I was already out on my own. I had my own place. School really wasn't anything important to me at all. I never really, if I attended, it was just to make money.
Yes.
Basically, and I got involved in some really bad stuff.
How do you make money at school, Joel?
Not on this show. I probably shouldn't tell the youth how it's done.
Okay. Well.
No, but I remember my life. 8 years old, I started doing marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I was 10 years old, I was already into heavy drugs, and by the time I was 13, I was already doing crack, coke, and
wow.
And when I was 15 years old, or about 15 years old, I had an overdose. I took too many hits of acid.
Wow.
It's a little drug about that big, just a sheet of paper, really. And it sent me into a state of mind that I was never able to really get out until I met Jesus. And it ended up putting me finally into a mental home.
Wow.
Where I was there for probably about a year and a half, and just to explain to you a little bit, I would see people that weren't really there, and the only way I could determine if they were real or not was to cut myself.
Yes.
And that would kind of bring me back to reality, because I didn't have any pills or medication. So if I was here in front of you guys today without my shirt, you could see all the scars that I have all over my body. But then going into I was in the mental home for some time, and they got me, after a year or so, got me on a medicine that helped me get better, and I was able to leave and kind of go amongst the real world.
Well, Sonny told me, Sonny works with you down in Saltillo, and Sonny told me a little bit of your testimony, but I'd never heard this, and I know Sonny thinks highly of you, and I know he's helped support you in many ways, and y'all did a movie together that you're going to be sharing about later on in the show, and God's just transformed your life. But what happened after the mental hospital? When did you finally get help? When did you finally, who told you about the Lord?
Well, you see, after getting out of the mental hospital, I was actually on a pretty good road. I was taking my medicine. Everything seemed to be be okay. And then, you know, I believe that's when the devil comes at you, you know, when you're getting back up from your last fall, you know. And but God always had a plan during all this time in my life. And four main things happened, and I'll just run them by you real quick. The first one was my stepfather, who basically, you know, was there most of my life. I don't know why, but for some reason, he just decided one day to go out in the woods with a shotgun and take his life.
Wow.
And, you know, we had to, I remember we had to identify the body and stuff. And it wasn't, that wasn't sad to me because, you know, I lost him, but to see my mother cry day and night, every day, that's what really hurt me, you know. Because I love my mom, and she did a lot. She did the best she could with us, you know. And then the other thing that happened was my brother, my older brother. He lived in New York at the time, and he was in a band, and he played music, and he had just had a baby boy. So he called me and he said, "Hey, you know, my son's born, and I'm coming up to see you guys so you can see the baby and stuff." So I remember waiting, and hours and hours went by, and he never showed up to the house. And I got that call that no one wants to get, that there was a car accident, and my brother was killed in the car accident, and his girlfriend lost her arm, and thankfully my nephew's okay. And I still talk to him today, thank goodness.
That's actually, you actually have his name tattooed on your back.
Yeah,
I have that brother that got killed.
I have almost like a little mural on my back.
13 tattoos or something.
Yeah, my body's pretty tattooed up from the past. But.
It sounded like the devil was just trying to kill you because God had a purpose in your life, and he was trying to take you out every way. And if he can't take you out, he's taking your brother and friends and father, and it just destruction.
Well, after that, you know, basically losing, you know, my stepfather and my brother, and you know, my mom was a wreck, and everyone else in my family was a wreck. I had my friends, you know, and that's really where I kind of went to. And I had my best friend Josh, and we used to just party, and we'd smoke and get all, you know, drugged up and drinking. And one night, you know, while we were drinking, and someone passed out with a cigarette, and the house caught on fire.
Oh my! And
most of everyone that was in the house escaped from the second floor, and they jumped out the window. Everyone got out except for my best friend.
Oh man!
And you know, I never even, you know, it's just weird. You don't have that time to just say those last words. You never expect something to happen. You don't know when your last day is going to be. You know, and that was really horrible for us. But all of our friends came together, went all around the community, and tried to raise money for the family. And we raised so much money that we were able to build them a new house.
Wow.